What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Rams Brothers. I'm your host, Dean, and I'm joined, as always, by my brother and the other great host of this show, Nick. And the Rams are officially 2-0. Next weekend, they travel into Philadelphia. But for the sake of this episode, we're going to be covering the recap and all the fun stuff that happened in today's game in Tennessee against the Titans. But before we jump into any of the detail, first and most importantly, how are you, my good 2-0 brother?
I'm bone on bone, as you can tell. I'm doing good, though. It's good when the Rams start 2-0. It feels like for the last couple of years they've had a slow start, so it's nice for them to be, on the upper echelon of teams to start the season.
Yeah, 33-19 victory against the Titans. Super Bowl rematch. What was it, Super Bowl 34? This is, you look at the total stats and the total yardage, none of this seemed like it was going to be the case. I would say maybe halfway through the third quarter, and then all of a sudden the Rams stepped on the gas. So total yards, passing yards, rushing yards, yards per play, first downs, third down efficiency, the Rams were better in every single category. They ran less total plays, but had more yards per play. They only allowed one sack. They only punted 3 times. They only had 4 penalties compared to Tennessee's 10. The one interception was equal to the one fumble that was lost for Tennessee, but they lost a little bit of the time of possession battle. But regardless, you saw really, really gutsy performance by Matthew Stafford, by Puka Nacua, by Davante Adams. And Nick, we're going to get into all the detail about what's going on with this offense and maybe the play calling scenarios in certain red zone situations. But what was your initial takeaway? Because you were texting us, it was a little bit of a roller coaster. Then towards the end, you were like, all right, we're back on the talk track of Super Bowl. So where's your head at right now?
I mean, right now, it felt very much like the Rams went into this game fully acknowledging that the Titans are not a team that you have to bring your A game to, which is always, as a fan, kind of scary because you're like, all right, guys, time to step up. Like, when are you going to step up? Like, why are we down going into halftime? Like, this should not be the case. Stafford makes a bad interception. He's like, that's on me. And he doesn't look like he's worried about it at all. But as a fan, you're sitting there like, this is worrisome right now. Like, are we really going to lose to the Titans? Is this going to be like last year when we, even the Raiders that we played last year, all these bad teams, it's always close, but we pull out a victory at the very end. And it's like, that's not what a Super Bowl team does. You're supposed to like roll over these lower teams. And then, it's like that meme of the guy who like has the video game controller and is like, all right, time for me to step it up and like lock in and like move forward and lean in. And that's exactly what they did. And they looked like one of those, contending teams right now, like a legitimate 2-0 and not like oh man, the Rams are like barely 2-0 kind of team.
Yeah. And it was one of those
positive experience.
And I totally agree with you, right? It feels better. That definitely feels better than it's felt the last 2 years. But like, to get it done in the way they're getting it done, I think is just, it's much more enjoyable, right? Like, obviously I think the fan, the normal average fan would say, I would like to see them start 14-0 in this game. You want to see them go up 21-0. You want to see them take control of the game in its entirety. But to kind of go back and forth a little bit and then to step on the gas late, it just shows that if you continue to win at the line of scrimmage, and you saw it towards the end of the game, and you saw it specifically in the second half, and you have a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, who was, 23 of 33 for 298 yards and 2 touchdowns. And you got the dual threat of Puka Nacua and Davante Adams, that's when it really all becomes a lot of fun. You saw it right away, and that's the reason why I'm saying like fans get a little bit impatient, is because you see a Puka Nacua jet sweep on 4th and 1, the defense makes a couple of stops, and you think there's so many opportunities just to run away with this type of game in this type of situation early, and it just doesn't always happen with this team. So but it's not like they don't show you qualities that say that they can't win the Super Bowl, because they absolutely do.
No, I'm not at all. I also think when you see Cam Ward make that, as our dad called it, a backyard football type of touchdown where he throws across his body, in retrospect, it's obviously very much like, something that is fluky as opposed to the standard that the Titans were playing with for the entirety of the game. But when you watch that, the Rams fans, it reminds them a little bit of like a Russell Wilson type of like, crazy situation where it's like, this guy's going to be able to do this to us all day. And, after that happens, it was very much shut down by the defense after that. One of those is going to get in, but it being exactly one, and then the Rams just stomping on the gas afterwards Yeah, I agree. I think they're one of the teams right now that look to be, looking forward to February with the Super Bowl in their hindsight.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about Cam Moore too, and we saw this when we previewed this team, is like he's probably going to make 5 or 6 incredible throws. Right?
Throws. Yeah.
He's gonna make a backyard football throw. He's gonna make one from the opposite hash mark to the opposite boundary. Like he's got a real big time NFL arm. So the talent is there. It's just a matter of them putting pieces together. In Tennessee, over the last 20, 30 years, they've had moments where they've been knocking on the door, but they haven't been able to put it all entirely together. For Calvin Ridley to be your top pass catcher, for Tony Pollard to be your top back, like there's just not enough skill players. There's not enough experience up front. That team's got a long way to go, but they were a tough out at home, and you got to give them some credit for being as tough as they were early on until the Rams were able to really kind of break the door down.
I thought Pollard looked better than anybody on the Texans last week. Like Pollard was pretty stout and was kind of bringing it throughout the entirety of the game. I mean, he was looking better than Kyron as well. I know we'll get into the Kyron Corum situation, but if you want to talk about that right now, I think the Rams fans are clawing at the bit to talk about this breakdown. Yeah.
I mean, the Rams just paid Kyron Williams. Blake Corum was one of their top draft picks in last year's draft. So the numbers that really stood out for me with Blake Corum was the average yards per attempt. So 8.8. I mean, I think anybody who watches football would see Blake Corum and say, okay, this guy is naturally much more explosive. But to average 8.8 yards per touch, to have the touchdown versus Kyron, who was 17 of 66, for 3.9 yards per attempt and no touchdowns. Although that one red zone series where they just spammed Davante Adams and threw him as many passes as they could, that would have been an easy walk-in Kyron touchdown. But just in terms of the game, you looked later on in the game, Kyron had a couple of his longer runs in the third and fourth quarter. Blake Corum felt like he made every opportunity when he touched the ball. And I think the Rams just want to go with a 1A, 1B approach. What is your thought in the running back room? Is just whatever the hot hand is?
I think so. As a Kyron Williams fantasy owner in one of my leagues, I definitely was upset when I saw Corum score that touchdown. But as a Rams fan, I was absolutely Corum deserves this touchdown in this drive. I feel like he's one of the reasons why they got us here. It's why they went with him in that scenario. And, at the end of the day, Corum deserved that touchdown over Kyron. So it doesn't matter who gets in. I think both of them feel this way. If somebody does get in, I think that's where we will lie. And they saw that today the tides were turning more towards Corum than they were Kyron, so they just let him run with it. It does make me a little upset here to be in a situation where the guy that we just paid is not the A number one, and it's not obvious that he's A number one, and it should be obvious that he is.
In terms of snap count, in terms of being on the field in third down situations, Kyron Williams in the red zone, Kyron Williams owns that role outright. But you're starting to see
today.
Well, no, in terms of snap counts, he did,
right,
but not in terms of total yards per touch. Mm-hmm. So you could really kind of put them head to head. But what I look at is Kyron. You drafted him; he's obviously not that explosive. Blake Corum's supposed to be a little bit more explosive. Jarquez Hunter supposed to be more explosive than both of those two guys. So let's keep leveling it up. We just want explosives. And there's situations in these games specifically where a home run eliminates the final 5 stretch of plays in specific series. If Kyron Williams hits a home run on the 20-yard line, the Rams don't have to be in a 3-4 down red zone situation. And not that it's impossible to score in the red zone. It's not, but it has to be well schemed, well timed. And a home run, whether it's in the pass game or the run game, takes away the complexity of running an extra 5-6 plays after you expected one to be.
I'm giving you a scenario where it's 3rd and 10 at our own 40, right? Sorry, full set of downs, 1st and 10 at our own 40. Who is more likely to hit a home run? Kyron or Williams? Who would you say right now?
Kyron or Williams? You mean Kyron or Corum?
Kyron
I would say Blake Corum.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of And I don't think the Rams are like entirely upset about that because you have both of those guys on your team, but you also still have to make the decision of who you want in those scenarios, which is kind of a little, tough after you pay Kyron all that money that it's not just him every time.
Yeah, I mean that's typical though, like second tier running back production numbers. Like the snap count that Blake Corum
Yeah.
got today is typical, but he's more productive in a lesser volume. So your initial thought is like, what does it look like in a larger volume? What does it look like in a 25 to 30 carry sample size with some catches on the outside where you get him loose? So those are all things I'd be interested to see with Blake Corum if he has that ability. There were flashes in moments last year where I thought Blake Corum was going to break one or something was brought back due to a holding call. Regardless, he has the talent to do so. So I want to see him be able to do so. I think the Davante Adams situation is so interesting. Like we obviously have to talk about this, right? Because this was Davante Adams' first touchdown as a Los Angeles Ram. And he only had 6 receptions in this game for 100, I think it was 108, 109 yards. But how many targets do you think he had in this game? 13, 14?
That scripted, not scripted. When they were at first and goal and they had Corum out there, it wasn't even Kyron. And they don't give the ball to Corum once. And it's pass play, pass play, pass play. And none of them hit, none of them connect. And I felt like every ball was going to Davante. It felt like there was like a call in from somebody, whether it be, Les Snead or Stan Kroenke being like, hey, we got this guy. We need him to score a touchdown this game. Because it was weird. It was like it was like they were targeting him when they didn't have to, and McVay was getting really cute. And then they go ahead and score with him later in the game and kind of break it open. But and Dean's locks are 2-0 now because of it. But it felt a little forced to me, did it not?
So yeah, it did. So here's the thing, right? So it's like there's finesse, I think, naturally in McVay's playbook, especially in the red zone. But there doesn't need to be. I think there could be a little bit more physicality when you get towards the red zone, just because they are dominant at the line of scrimmage, because they run the ball so well in the red zone. But I think he just knew it was a situation where he has the better roster. He's got so much more talent, got the better quarterback. He knows that in the end, he's going to win the game. So here's a situation. Let's get this guy going, right? We brought him in. We hyped him up. We're going to showcase what he could do in the red zone. So let's force feed it. It's part of the game plan. But if it doesn't work, like just turn around and give the ball off. Like nobody gives a shit if Davante scores his first touchdown or not.
No.
It doesn't have to happen. Only Sean McVay seemed to care about that in this game. So it's not a complaint at all. It's just in red zone situations, you could be a little bit more physical versus finesse.
I think it's a huge complaint if that was the Eagles game next week when it's two teams going against each other.
Sure.
It felt like they knew that they were going to win this game no matter what. And with the hindsight of that, they can go into a situation like this and let's get Davante his first touchdown as a Ram. Let's target him 3 times. Let's get this connection going between these two elite future Hall of Famers and Davante Adams and Matthew Stafford. And it just felt really forced in that moment. And I also felt like, Corum or Kyron would have been able to punch it in. And it's like, at that point, let's just get points. Let's worry about winning this game. But it didn't feel like they were worried about winning this game in that moment. So it was a little.
They must have just knew that like they were going to be in control late. And it was like, well, we have an opportunity to kind of play around a little bit. Like
let's try some stuff out.
There's got to be there's got to be a lot of confidence to play with that type of mentality. Maybe it wasn't that type of mentality, but like when they went into Chicago last year, week 4, and got their ass kicked by Caleb Williams and the Bears, like it's a very similar type rookie quarterback situation where a couple of late plays could be backbreaking if you don't put your offense in the right position. And, obviously you have all your talent healthy in this game, so it wasn't as big of a concern. And you were able to make it up down the stretch, but still, like, stop effing around and just put the ball in the end zone. Nobody cares. Right now, we don't care about style points. Right? It doesn't matter. Just win the game and put points on the board.
And every Rams fan is sitting there saying, we just paid Kyron all this money and he's not even on the field. And we're in a situation where Kyron, that is his specialty. Maybe he can't hit those home runs, but he'll get that touchdown for you in first and goal when you're 3 yards away from the end zone. So it was just really weird to not even try that scenario. It was just a weird blip of this game, but thankfully you end up winning handsomely and now you're back on the train of that doesn't matter at all.
Right. Yeah. And you look back and in hindsight, these things don't matter at all. But like if there are recurring themes and their trends, especially in primetime games or big situations like against the Eagles, right,
Yeah.
where you got a divisional round rematch, that's where it's
Right.
going to start to get annoying. So, yeah, I see where you're coming from. But like as a whole, this offense is really playing good football. So the Stafford obviously now 2-0 this season. The back thing doesn't seem like it's a big concern at all. Like he took a sack. He's taken a couple of hits. It hasn't messed with his mechanics. It hasn't messed with his arm strength, his delivery, his pocket presence. Absolutely nothing. He threw for 298 yards, 2 touchdowns, one of his better games, I think, over the last couple of years in the regular season. Davante was the leading receiver. And then Puka Nacua, too. I just want to give a quick shout out. We showed the clip earlier. But fastest players to reach 200 career receptions, Puka Nacua and Odell Beckham Jr. And then in terms of Puka Nacua is second all time. Goes Justin Jefferson, then Puka Nacua, then Jamar Chase, then Calvin. So I don't know what else you could ask for from Puka. I think he had like 138 total yards today, which is just insanely impressive. But I think this offense putting up 33 points, I think we're fine, right? I mean, they've given up 1 touchdown in 2 games. Defensively, I think they're also fine. Were they as dominant this week? No, but they were still just good enough, and they caused a big-time turnover at the right time, which was a massive turning point, and put the offense in a good position to score again.
I think right now you'd be hard pressed to argue against them being one of the upper echelon teams. I think
For sure.
Outside of DIKE, kind of like dicing us up on the special teams, it felt like all 3 phases were really there in full, organization and together. It took them a little bit, absolutely, but look around the league. It took the Ravens a little bit today. It took the Bills a little bit today. The Eagles barely scraped by with a W today. So the Lions absolutely dog walked the Bears, but still, it's all these games are individual fights, and at the end of it, we have our final score, and it looks like we dominated them. And I like the pace of the game doesn't feel like we did, but we did. This is a dominant win against a lower tier team, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do in this situation. They did it.
Yeah. There's no reason to be mad whatsoever.
I don't think so.
I think most Rams fans, especially at the start of the last 2 seasons, are overwhelmingly happy right now.
Yeah.
And you look at, there's a lot of fun that's going on right now. I just want to look around the Rams Twitterverse, right? So you see Stu Jackson's tweeting about Ahkello Witherspoon. He broke his clavicle. So that's something I want you guys to keep your eyes on over the next, month or so. Probably going to see more Darius Williams. You'll probably see more of Emmanuel Forbes, who had to step up. In this game, you saw him having to deal with Eric Ayomanor, who we loved from Stanford, who was dominant in this game as a receiver. Sosa talks about what a hustle play by Terrence Ferguson. That's the kind of stuff that gets you more reps. Terrence Ferguson was actually on the field in a big 3rd-time play early on in this game. Wyatt Miller checks in and says Emmanuel Forbes Jr. laid a big hit and a punch out on Calvin Ridley Jr. to deny him of a 3rd and long and force a punt. Emmanuel Forbes Jr., man, what a good story. He's playing really good football over the first couple of weeks. Josiah Stewart, Rams rookie edge rusher, he had a sack. His explosiveness off of the line is very, very evident every time he's on the field, says Cam DeSilva. And last one is JB Long. Rams offense averaged 7.4 yards per play, racked up 439 yards total. Puka, Davis Allen, Davante Adams, and Blake Corum all were the touchdown scorers in this game. And the defense only allowed 80 yards in the second half, 5 sacks, and a takeaway on the day. This defense, Nick, can you tell me what you think of this graphic? I didn't make it. Our producer made it, sent it to me, and they said, you have to put this on the show. So I said, all right. What are your thoughts of this, Nick?
Wow. I mean, calling, Landman Robin, I don't love. I feel like you're disrespecting him there in this scenario.
So BY and Landman, the new Batman and Robin. So, I mean, you look at these clips too. First of all, Byron Young's having an incredible season so far. He is a hell of a lot more productive than Jared Verse was today, who was basically playing in no man's land, was over pursuing, and was, a lot of different misses on Jared Verse's end. I think that he just gets a little bit too excited in some situations. Great pass rusher in terms of containment and pursuit. He gets a little overly aggressive, especially in the run game. Byron Young, though, is having an incredible season so far. Like, he looks like the much more mature player in terms of being able to rush the passer and then also being able to contain against the run. Nate Landman also looks awesome. So
we got the full conductor celebration today as well. I don't know if you missed that, but yeah,
I tried to get the video.
That's all right. The producer messed it up.
Right.
Verse just more so feels like if we were playing a Joe Burrow, he's going to get home every time. But these Jalen Hurts and these Cam Wards, they can kind of duck, dodge, weave, live, and dodge their way out of it. I want to give a special shout out though to 87, Davis Allen. Really, like that touchdown where he hit the pylon before his hand went down. That was one of the more impressive plays I've seen out of a tight end on the offensive front that's not blocking in quite some time. And Stafford the whole time is like, no, it's a touchdown. It's a touchdown. Also, McVay talking to the refs and being like, okay, and like dropping it like that, as opposed to the idiots today where the other head coaches are like throwing it on the screen. I was just like, just classy McVay.
Yeah, that situation too. Like, I think Davis Allen has 2 catches and 2 touchdowns so far this season, after like almost not playing a lot of the season last year due to a back injury. Yeah. And now he's coming on strong. Colby Parkinson was obviously out in this game, but if you still want to run 12 personnel, you got to be able to trust your second and third tight ends, who are Terrence Ferguson and Davis Allen. And Davis Allen looks like he could potentially be that guy. He showed that promise in his rookie season, but now in year 3, if you can get him to become a more versatile pass catcher and somewhat of an equivalent as a blocker as Colby Parkinson, he's gonna win those snaps for sure.
And then just a shout out to Tyler Higbee with his nice chunk yard plays. And every time he catches the ball, I look to my friends or fiance or whoever I'm watching the game with and just say, best Ram tight end of all time. Best tight end Rams ever had.
The flex is big right now, but also Higbee always does like he's always done that. Yeah. So the first down sign. So yeah, this defense, the one thing I want you guys to keep your eyes on, we talked about Akella Witherspoon briefly, but this just showcases who was kind of taking over some of the snap counts. You saw Darius Williams make a big play late in this game. He ended up playing 40% of the defensive snaps, played some special team snaps as well. The 2 guys who never come off the field, Quentin Lake and Cam Curl, again, never came off of the field. Cam Kinchins, good sign for him. He's playing a ton of snaps, but you saw a little bit of Josh Wallace. You saw a little bit of Jalen McCullough, and the rotation of guys like Kobe Durant, Emmanuel Forbes, Darius Williams. That's kind of what you're going to be seeing if Akella Witherspoon isn't going to be on the field. So
yeah, I mean, it looked like Durant almost had a pick immediately from hopping in the game. He came really close to getting a pick, but then after that, he kind of fell off a little bit. But it did. I mean, unfortunately, we talked about this last episode where we said, God forbid Witherspoon goes down, you have somebody in Durant that can kind of come right in right away. Yeah. And then that's exactly what happened.
You're spot on. And you want the same thing for the offensive line. I got to give credit to Justin Dietich, who I felt like did that today really well. Jeffrey Simmons wasn't a massive pain in your ass today, which was great for the sake and longevity of Matthew Stafford. So Justin Dietich, I thought, did a really nice job playing for Steve Avila, who was out in this game. I really like Bo Limmer, though, as like the 6th man, right, or the 7th man, because he's got the versatility to be able to play any of the interior spots. And the exterior position, you've gotten 2 healthy weeks out of Rob Havenstein and Alaric Jackson. And at this point last year, you were still trying to get Alaric Jackson on the field.
Yeah.
And, Havenstein's banged up. He misses weeks, and you got Warren McClendon in. Just the only thing I would say is just like be thankful when you get to watch these types of games because everybody's healthy. And you don't, good teams know how to win games 33-19 on the road. But it's not often that you get to watch a good team that puts a good product on the field year after year. This is one of those years. When everybody's healthy, this team is very much legitimate. I know the first 2 weeks of the season can get a little bit muddy and murky in terms of the future outlook of where the team can go when it's all said and done. This team's legitimate. Like, there's no second guessing that. When they're healthy, they're going to kick some ass.
I think like I said early in the pod, from offense to I'm so tired. I was so tired. I texted this to you and Dad before the game. We go into these games against these lower teams all last year, the Jets, the Raiders, and we barely scrape by with a win. Like, can we just get a blowout? Can we put the league on notice that the Rams are here finally? That this team with this defense and this offense are the ones that are going to be able to, push them further and become better than they were last year and beat these Titans and these lower teams by a lot. And you finally were able to do that today. And it's the most confident I've felt about the Rams, honestly, since 2021 right now.
And I can't really 2022 was a wash. Almost the entire season was a wash. 23 started really slow.
And you sneak in.
And this last year had the same exact thing happen. You started 1-3, and all the odds were against you even making the playoffs. And, you had the exact same record as the Seattle Seahawks and ended up having the tiebreaker in the strength of schedule. And that's the reason why you won the division.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, you probably would have beat the Seahawks in the final week of the season anyway with Stafford versus Jimmy G. But I can see why people feel more confident now than they did at any point of 22 versus all the way through 24.
Yeah. I mean, so you're saying you don't, not yet, at least.
No, I totally do. I mean, we said a couple of weeks ago, if Stafford's healthy and he could show a couple of weeks that he's going to be healthy and they can keep him upright, the sky's the limit. And that's
he's not exactly being kept upright because he's getting hit after the throw.
True.
But he's still getting up and is show the graphic of him laying down again. Because because he's taking these hits and he's not Aaron Rodgers out there where he's getting rid of the ball early so he doesn't have to take those hits. He's taking the hit and he's we still score a touchdown here, which is just huge.
This is immediately, and that was immediately after the Davante Adams touchdown.
Yeah.
So just arms up, laying back, enjoying the moment.
He's like,
man.
He's like, we did it. We can stop trying to force him the ball. All right, good. Touchdown.
Yeah. Thank God. Check. Everybody gets a bonus check.
Yeah.
If you guys are enjoying our content, make sure to like and subscribe. All over socials. We're here twice a week, every week. All Rams takes, opinions, statistics, whatever it may be, in the eyes and in the perspective of your two favorite brothers in the whole world. So we appreciate you guys. As always, go Rams. It's been a fun couple of weeks. I'm so glad we started 2-0.
Nick's picks this week go 3-2. So we're back to 500 because last week we were 2-3. Dean's locks, however, Davante Adams scored a touchdown. Rams won last week. Dean's locks 2-0.
Pretty damn good.
So,
have you ever had a perfect week?
Oh, every year I usually have one. I think last year was the first year I didn't have the perfect week. Loved, though, that the producers of Rams Bros the Pod, the Twitter, put the parlay odds of all of it hitting today. That was a nice touch from the producers.
Just get in his ear and just remind him every week before the 1:00 slate of games starts, just to get the tweet out, get the post out.
Got it. I'll let the producer know.
Good stuff. We appreciate you guys. As always, go Rams, and we will talk to you again. Wednesday? Thursday?
Wednesday. Yeah, let's do a little Wednesday action.
When do you come back this way?
Saturday.
Oh, all right. Well, we got time.
Saturday, I am back on the East Coast. Dean and I will be at the Rams-Eagles tailgate. We don't know if we're going to go to the game yet. Hopefully somebody can, Rams fans, do your thing if you have tickets to that game and you can give us a little bit of a discount, because I don't want to drop $400 to get spit on my feet at the Eagles game. But if there's not a bad seat that you guys know of, please let me know and let Dean know, and hopefully we can figure something out. But yeah, we'll be at the tailgate no matter what.
Great. That sounds like fun. We appreciate you guys. As always, go Rams. Talk soon.
Rams, baby.